What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to talk about why BMI is not a useless metric. This is one of the dumbest things I hear in fitness, but I get it though. I'm not going to be hard on y'all, but I get it, right? Because BMI does not take into factor muscle mass. So I understand why a lot of people in fitness will tell, people that follow them on social media or clients that they have, or just people who give out fitness advice who are looking towards their advice. They would tell them, oh, don't worry about BMI because obviously BMI is not meant for you because you put on muscle, right? No. BMI is a very good metric to have, both for health and also for attractiveness as well. They've done studies specifically for men showing that, and again, like we don't do things for women as men, but at the same time, we do want to be holistically attractive. That there's nothing wrong with that. And they've done studies showing that for men, I believe the range was about a 23 to 25, I believe, was like the most attractive for men who had muscle. And that is an important thing to take in factor. But the main thing is health. That's my main thing is health. So I believe a regular BMI chart will tell you that between 18 and 23 is like the healthy range. And 23 to 25 is generally acceptable. And beyond 25 is overweight. And again, this doesn't account for muscle, but we can look at that from a fitness perspective and just use it as a guide. So a lot of people who have muscle mass, they'll be like, okay, well, 25 is overweight, but because it doesn't matter, I could get my BMI to a 30 to a 35. And because I have muscle, it doesn't matter. But that is wrong. Even when you have a lot of muscle, when your BMI is pushing, for me, I would say, including muscle mass, because I'm not ignorant to the fact that it doesn't account for muscle mass, I would push that to 26. So I would say beyond the 26, even if it is with muscle, you are getting overweight. And the problem with being overweight is that you are putting excess stress, unnecessary stress on your heart, on your tendons, your joints, your ligaments, your low back, your knees, on some of the things that your body has, and it's not good for you. It's not going to be good for you. A lot of people, they like to say, okay, well, I'm a 27 BMI and I'm, let's say, 10 to 12% body fat, so I'm fine. I disagree. Now, one thing I will say is some people who do find BMI to still matter, like I do, they will say that the body cannot differentiate between muscle and fat, and I disagree with that. The body's not stupid. The body to a degree knows that you have a good amount of muscle mass when it does play into factor, like for like things like heart disease and kidney disease and things like blood pressure and stuff like that. But at the same time, the body does recognize being overweight as the main thing. The body's not like, okay, well, you're overweight with muscle, so it's going to be different than being overweight with fat. No, that's not true. Being overweight is being overweight. Again, the body's not stupid. The body knows when you have muscle, but that doesn't mean that being overweight with muscle is okay. So when you're overweight with muscle, you're not going to be in the same predicament as somebody who's overweight with fat, but you still will be having the same type of, not the same level of issues, but you still will be at risk for the same type of issues as that person that is overweight with fat, which is heart disease, heart attacks, joint problems, low back problems, knee problems. You still are at risk for this. So this idea that we just want to get as big as possible, and this thing all comes into play: attractiveness, internal health, external health, return on investment for dating, for business. Everything points towards just having a lean, athletic body, guys, for male and female. And another thing I want to say, being overweight is not about how you look. I posted a video and people were like, well, I'm 6'2" and I'm 230 and I look fine. I'm like, you're still overweight. It doesn't matter. Men can't grasp that. But the crazy part is, for men, you should understand that by knowing women. There's a lot of women that look good who are overweight. They might be overweight, but they might hold their fat in their glutes or in their breasts, so they look attractive. They're still overweight. You're still overweight. So think about that, fellas. It's the same thing with us. You can have a lot of muscle mass and still be overweight, and you can still look good. I had some women comment, "Oh, my ex, he was 6'3", 270, and he carried it so well. That's fine. He probably looked like shit, but even if he did look good to you, he was still overweight. So one thing I preach is internal health and external health. It's not going to be good for you internally to be overweight. You're putting unnecessary stress on your body functions, your bodily functions. It is what it is. Will it be different than being overweight with fat? Yes, it will be. But I say for men and women, you want to stay in a healthy BMI. I speak more for men. I'm more aware about this for the men BMI. I would say for most of us, getting above a 25 is ridiculous. If you want to push it to a 26, that's fine. In my opinion, I don't care who you are and I don't care how much muscle you have. Once you get past the 26, you're starting to push into an unhealthy range. And dudes will be like, "Oh, well, I'm 6'2" and I'm 240," but it's like you have 20% body fat. So just the fact that your body fat is that high, you're already not healthy. But even if your body fat was lower, even if somehow you were 6'2", 270 at 8% body fat, which is like damn near impossible naturally. Let's say you were doing that and you were natural somehow, you would still be putting unnecessary stress on your heart, on your organs, on your tendons, on your ligaments, on your bodily functions. It is what it is. There's no way around it. A lot of you guys, when I say stuff like this, you guys like to bring up athletes. Mike Tyson was 5'10", 230. I had a dude comment on my video. He said, AJ Brown, 6'1", 230. Okay. They're overweight. Now, does being overweight help you in sports for like a football, like O lineman? Does it help them to be overweight? Yes, it does. But is it healthy for the body? No. And again, if I'm talking about health and you bring up a football player who's already a genetic anomaly, you're not AJ Brown. Beyond that, even football isn't healthy. And I'm not on some Karen shit like, oh, we need to get rid of like football and boxing and stuff, but it's not healthy. Like if I make a video talking about health and I say, hey, BMI, this is the healthy range for BMI regardless of muscle mass, and then you use an example of somebody who plays a sport for 15 to 20 years where they get tackled by 350-pound men every weekend as your example of what health should be looking like for a human body, I'm gonna question your intelligence because best believe playing football is not healthy. It's not. When I'm talking about strictly healthy. I'm not talking about motherfuckers' opinions. I'm not talking about if you enjoy football. I'm not talking about if you used to play. Don't comment some goofy shit. I'm talking about health. Is it healthy to get tackled by a 350-pound man every weekend for 15 years? No, it's not. I'm talking about health, guys. Is it healthy to be 6'1" and walking around with 230 pounds? No, it's not, guys. Even if you are 8% body fat, you're putting a lot of stress on the body. And what you'll notice, a lot of these football players and even a lot of people who work out, as they get older, they tend to change their ways. A lot of people downsize. One guy I really fuck with, his name is Jeff Logs. He downsized. I've seen a video of him talking about he was just way too big. Now his body fat was pretty high, but even if he was that big with muscle, he probably still would have downsized. A lot of dudes, a lot of O linemen, D linemen, dudes in the NFL. What is the first thing they do after they retire? Downsize. Being that big is not healthy. It's not healthy, guys. A lot of people, as they get older, even me, like, but see, I like to be careful because I was fat. So if when I'm 30% body fat, of course I need to lose weight. But even if I got up to, because with my bone structure, I do believe I could get up to 215 and be less than 15% body fat. I could get up to 210 and be 12% body fat. But why? Like, what's the point? And I'm 6'2", so even at 210, that I would say like 6'2" at 2, that's like the heaviest. I think that would be like a 26 BMI. About that would be like the heaviest, but like that's pushing it. And yes, I could be lean, I could be sub 15% body fat. But it's like, am I really putting my body in the best predicament to be healthy? And another few things about me that a lot of you guys don't know about is that I've had knee surgery from playing basketball. I've had a torn meniscus, so I've had surgery. I'm also flat-footed. I also have a little bit of arthritis in both knees just from playing sports every single day as a kid. It's not nothing damaging. I'm still able to like squat. I'm still able to walk around, do what I got to do, but I do have a little bit of arthritis, which damn near, if you've played sports for more than 10 years, like basketball, football, if you run a lot, you're going to have a little bit of wear and tear. It is what it is. Now, with that being said, is it conducive for me to be over 200 pounds? No, it's not. And I could tell you one thing, and again, I like to preface this by saying I was a little bit heavy. It wasn't muscle. But I could tell you, even at like 220, when I was coming down, and I was probably about 20% body fat at that point, which is still fat as fuck, but it is what it is, right? My low back was still in some pain. My feet used to hurt. And I thought it was because of how active I was. I thought it was because I was squatting. It was just because I was too fucking heavy, bro. I was putting too much stress on my body. And again, I preface that by saying I was fat, but at the same time, you might be like, well, I'm 6'2" and I'm 220 and I'm not fat. I promise you, you will feel better at 190, at 195, at 200 max. Get this shit out of your head that you have to be as heavy as possible. Your BMI is still going to be a useful metric. There's a reason why the BMI was made. I dropped this video, and obviously it's always a touchy subject because people, and I understand people like to really protect their image. So when I make stuff like this, people really get in their feelings. A lot of people feel really heavy about this topic, and that's fine. But I'll get people in the comments and well, I'm 6 foot and I'm 210, because that was what the thing was. Somebody said, oh, I'm 6 foot 210. That's not big. And I'm like, bro, like 6 foot 210 is huge. And obviously, like it kind of went, I think got like 10,000 views and like has like 500 comments. So people are in there like throwing their stats in, getting all hyped, like people throwing hands in the comments. And it's funny, but I get why people feel that way. But I just want you guys to know, like, I genuinely feel like this. I know we're in the era where people like to rage bait, but no, I'm genuinely serious. If your BMI is over at 25, 26, regardless of muscle mass, for long-term health, I do think it would be best for you to downsize. I truly feel like that. Regardless of how you look, regardless of how much muscle you have, even though for 90% of you guys, you are overly fat. You are over 15% body fat. Motherfuckers was in my comments being like, bro, I'm 6'1", 275, and I feel small. I'm like, dog, I don't even need to see a picture of you. I know you're fat as fuck, because you can't get to 6'1", 275 naturally and not be fat as fuck. That shit is not happening, bro. People feel away about certain stuff. I get it. But I'm here to speak the truth. I'm not here to sugarcoat things for you guys. And there's a lot of goofy shit, a lot of nonsense in fitness. So I'm here to really just navigate through that and tell you guys what I know about fitness. And one thing I can tell you about fitness and health is that regardless of what anybody says, BMI is a useful metric. You want to put on muscle, you want to be aesthetic, that's fine. Do not let your BMI get beyond 26 max. You will look your best and feel your best, but somewhere between a 20 to 25 BMI. A lot of people like to bring up bone structure. Bone structure is a real thing. Like, the circumference of your wrists and your ankles does determine a bit the type of mass that you could put on. For me, I have a 7.5-inch wrist, which isn't large, but it is medium to large. So I have a bigger frame than somebody like, let's say, Frank Zane, who's a famous bodybuilder, and he had like 6.5-inch wrist. So he has a smaller frame. He would be able to put on his frame, like the amount of mass that he'd be able to put on, obviously he was on gear, would be different than somebody who has a bigger wrist. That is a real thing, guys. But at the same time, that's where like okay, do I fall between a 21 or a 23? That's where that BMI type of nuance falls in line. Because I've seen people say, okay, well, if somebody has a bigger structure, then 6 foot 210 would be fine. I'm like, no, it's not. For 6 foot, the range, and I'm going off the top of my head, but I'll say about like 170 to about 190 for most men, right? This is going to be the healthiest range for 6 foot with a little bit of muscle mass. So a smaller bone person would fall at closer to the 170, and a larger bone person might fall closer to the 190. But pushing 20 pounds beyond that is extreme, regardless of how large your bones are. Like, if you have an 8-inch wrist, you'd probably be closer to the 190, maybe 195. But at 6 foot, I genuinely believe nobody should be seeing over 200 pounds. And I'm using this as an example because that's what I talked about on my Instagram. Go follow that at Random Branch. But that's an example. So if you guys are like, well, I have a bigger bone structure, that doesn't mean that your BMI would have to be overweight. That just means that you would fall closer to the top end of healthy. Does that make sense? So regardless of what anybody tells you, you're going to be best sub 26 BMI, fellas. Women, if you're watching this, I haven't done too much research on women's BMI, but it's pretty much the same thing. Like, don't get overweight. Even if you do have some glutes on you and some thighs on you, and the fellas is gassing you up, it's gonna be better for your health to be within the good healthy range. So that's the video for today, guys. BMI is not a useless metric, even if you are into fitness and health. Even if you do have muscle mass, oh, it doesn't account for muscle mass, so we should just disregard it. And you can have a 35 BMI, but if it's muscle, it's cool. Like, no, bro. And then aesthetically, a lot of people, I'm sorry, but a lot of people just don't look good, man. A lot of gym people, like, walk around with way too much fat. Even if the fat is decent, even if you're like not lean, but you're 15 to 17% for men, 25% for women, even if you're decently, like, you're not fat, but you're not lean, like, you still, like, the physique is just not hidden, bro. You would look better if you lost about 10, 15 pounds. It is what it is. So that's the video for today. I know I talked about a few things. I'm really passionate about fitness and health, guys. You guys comment or DM me if you guys have any questions, because people do be commenting and DMing me about stuff, and I love answering you guys' questions for topics that I have knowledge about. And this is one of those topics. I've had to learn about certain things because I was fat as fuck, and because I was in the gym for 2.5 years with a lousy ass physique. So I had to learn about certain things. Okay, I don't need to be as heavy as possible to get as big as possible to look good. Okay, it would be healthier for my body, especially given the fact that I've had surgeries and the fact that I have flat feet and the fact that I have a little bit of arthritis, to be at a lower weight, lower overall weight. Okay, I could just sit between 176 and 177 and mid 180s for life, and just focus on building my best body, focus on getting more muscle maturity, a tighter waist, more conditioning within that range. I don't have to do these extreme bulks and cuts. I could just recomp within the same 6 to 8 pounds for life. I don't have to rush the process. These are things I have to learn about in order for me to get on here and tell you guys. But I promise you, if you stick to what I'm telling you, because I'm not here to lead people astray, I'm not here to confuse people. I'm here to help people be healthily internally and externally, which is rare. I'm not here to sell things. Yes, I do help people. Yes, I am a coach. Yes, I do have services and products that I provide, but I'm not here to deceive people like I see online all the time. I feel like I'm not saying I'm the only person, but I'm one of the few genuine, authentic people online. I get on here. I'm passionate about what I talk about. Sometimes I trip over my words. Sometimes I ramble. Sometimes I do whatever. But through it all, I'm still here to help you guys out, bro. I don't edit shit out. I don't lie to get followers. I don't do things to go viral. So if you guys really want help building your body, building your physique, building your mind, building your creative life, this is going to be the channel for you guys. I'm a real genuine dude, for real. So you're going to learn a lot on this channel. If you're new, subscribe. If you're not new, like the video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. It would be week 6 of what is now going to be a recomp, because it's not really the cut. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. So again, BMI is not a useless metric. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.